The witch's castle's name leaves one to wonder what possible tales could be told. Are there fairies, goblins, real witches running around? The true story and the origins are much less fairy tale than one would expect. In the mid-1800s, Stanford Belch and his family purchased the land at which the witch's castle now sits upon. It was a good 350-640 acres, depending on what source you read from. In 1858, Mr. Belch hired some help tending the land and farm, and thus he met Mortimer Stump. Mr. Stump's age is unclear, but it was clear enough that any romantic interest in Danford's eldest child, Anna, who was 15, was wildly inappropriate. Obviously, Mr. Belch forbade the relationship between the two, but of course, telling a teen girl no only sparked her rebelliousness in her. So Mr. Stump and Anna ran off to Vancouver, Washington, where they eloped. In November, particularly November 18th, Mr. Stump, his father, and Anna came to Oregon to gather up some supplies, and were about to head back to Vancouver when Mr. Belch, whom was drunk, saw them. He ordered Anna to come home with him, but Cuthbert Stump, Mr. Stump's father, remarked, "You're making great fuss about your child. She is an ordinary little bitch, and I do not know what the hell you want with her." Now drunk and angry, Belch left and came back with a doubled-barrel shotgun. He got onto the ferry the family was on and shot Mr. Stump in the head while heading to Vancouver. Witnesses disarmed and subdued Belch, at which he was arrested. Belch did end up escaping and hid in the forest around his homestead for a good 8 months, and while in hiding, there was evidence suggesting he tried faking his own death, because his wife, Mary Jane, identified a drowning victim as her husband. Obviously not the case, because police found him on July 23, 1859. At first, Mr. Belch claimed the shooting was an accident, and then he blamed his wife, claiming she was a witch who had hexed him. It didn't matter his excuses, because on October 17, 1859, before a crowd of hundreds, Danford Belch became the first man legally to be hanged in Oregon. It is said that his daughter attended his execution. His land was then passed down from person to person, but ultimately became possessed by the city. There's also a creek that is called Belch Creek, named after the family. Before I tell you more about the witch's castle, we are going to jump right into the events that occur on the land. I've gone through pages and pages of sources online and searched through the piles of ghost books I have, but couldn't find much on these particular hauntings, which is surprising. But either way, this is what I did find. People have claimed to see angry ghosts fighting, floating orbs, and even apparitions of young women and children. It is said that around midnight is when the location appears much like a battle or war against apparitions. For a short time, a witch's coven has also been reported using the structure for their own agendas, but there is no proof of this. People believe these ghosts may be the Belch's family, along with Mortimer and Anna being there as well, and that they are carrying out their feud throughout time. Before even knowing the history of the witch's castle, also known as the Stone House, many assume that this building was built during the 1800s by the Belch family. However, it is not hard to find the real history behind the witch's castle, which is as simple as this. The structure was built as a ranger station and restroom in the 1930s, many years after the Belch's death. Though it is built on the land of the Belch's family owned, it had nothing to do with their own history. The building was severely damaged in 1962 during the Columbus Day storm, and over the years it was abandoned, neglected, and vandalized. The stone house is surrounded by history, but it isn't the sole link. If anything is haunted, it is the land itself. The witch's castle is now a popular destination for hikers and high school parties, and can be found as a destination to check out on many 1-to-10 lists of Portland attractions. The real reason why it is called the Witch's Castle is not found. With no proof of witches' covens stalking the stone halls, we can easily just conclude it is as a tale told by teens to spook friends and family, which is common amongst any abandoned building. But it is safe to say the Witch's Castle isn't the one haunted. It is trapped on the land that could be. This story was much shorter than I anticipated. When I was researching, I was surprised at the lack of information on the hauntings I found, but it is still a beautiful sight to go see. Do you think it is a location of an apparition war? If you wish to support me, feel free to check out my Patreon page and join the family. If you can't support me, that is okay. Just hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. I create videos on cryptids, abductions, hauntings, serious killers, and much more. I'd like to thank my supporting Patreon thus far, and I hope you enjoyed.